got to see Jaden Daniels play, and that was just amazing yesterday. And I just knew as soon as they went into overtime and the Commanders got the ball, I just knew they were going to go down there and score. So Jaden Daniels is always great. And then when they came back against the Eagles last week, that's why I knew. I said, all right, he's going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year. So just very good. So overall, a lot of the quarterbacks have been very good this year. Really good.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I think what we are seeing is the NFL receiving these quarterbacks. And I mean, I don't want to put it out there, but I'm very super impressed to, ironically, the era that you guys are in now to see young African American quarterbacks, not just there but there because they're good at what they do. It's for me, I'm 57 years old, so it's a privilege for me to finally see this because all my life I wanted to see it. I saw it in spots. Warren, I came in my lifetime. He was going out as I was really paying attention, but him and then Randall, those kind of guys, and then McNabb was always spotty at best. Of course, you guys know about Michael Vick. We've all played with him with the sticks. But, even a guy like that never living up to his fulfillment because he had, I think, an offensive coordinator in every year of his career, a different offensive coordinator. So to finally see great African-American quarterback play, be able to see Lamar go at it with your guy and just seeing Russell and a lot of these guys, very encouraging for our generation to be able to witness.
Even the game last night, Jaden and Penix, that was two young black quarterbacks.
Yeah.
You said what?
Yeah.
I think history made last night the first time two African American quarterbacks played against rookies.
Yeah, and they're both top 10 picks.
Yeah. So
very good because especially we look in like history. It was believed that African American males were not very suited to be in the quarterback position, but now we have all these great players doing great things in these positions. So it's definitely very amazing to see now. So
I agree with you. I think most of them were encouraged to change when they got to the NFL and switch their position and play defensive back or something like that. And, I think recently, who was the guy that came out of Ohio State? I think African-American quarterback. Can't remember his name, Tyrus. You can look it up. I think about 8-9 years ago. And he ended up switching and playing receiver or something like that. And that was disheartening. I feel like he should have been given a chance, But again, I think we got it now. I think they finally figured it out. These guys.
I think you may be talking about Braxton Miller, but then again, it could be someone else.
No, I think it was another guy. He was
Terrell Pryor.
There you go.
Yeah, Terrell Pryor. Yeah, he played for the Redskins at one point. Yeah.
Pryor. Yeah. He was a quarterback and he came in the league. I think he played him 1 year too, and then he went to receiver so he could, keep a job, stay employed. So, but
I think that messed him up. I think he should have stayed at quarterback because he switched to wide receiver because of how he was, he's an athlete for sure. He's a big dude, fast, short. He has all that. He switches to wide receiver. He was good on the Browns for that 1 year. Comes to Washington. Dan Snyder, our GM, they pay him, and he stinks it up. I think he was better off staying with what he played his whole life, and then they tell him to switch in the league.
Exactly. So we've come a long way since then, So, and like I said, it's great to see. I think now with what we have, you're going to start seeing a lot of pressure on some of these coaches to develop. What's your take on what's going on in Pittsburgh? Think Justin Fields is going to get a shot back at the team again? You kind of let Russell play his season out and maybe you let him go? I don't know. What do you think?
It's kind of well, both of them have been doing good in the positions. I know Justin Field in the beginning of the season he was good, and then Russ has also been good too. So it's kind of a little hard. I mean, personally, I'm biased because I'm a Ravens fan, so I personally don't. I want the Steelers to do whatever can make them bad, but as we know, they both have been good in these positions. So it's kind of hard because now are we? Do we want Justin Fields to play in the playoffs? I mean, even though he hasn't really had a chance to since to play since towards the middle of the season. So it's been a long time. So it's just kind of like a decision the Steelers are going to have to make.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know, Cyrus. What do you think? Who's going to get it?
Yeah, so I'm gonna be honest. I didn't expect Russell Wilson to do what he's doing right now. But then again, I kind of like realistically, it's something where you should have saw that coming, but at the same time, you never know. Just with how Russ has been recently with the Broncos, but he gets a fresh start opportunity thanks to Mike Tomlin. He takes the shot with Russ. Hey, they have an elite defense, so it's one of those teams like the Eagles, the Steelers. Those are those teams where it's like it doesn't really matter who's at quarterback, in my opinion. You don't need a superstar quarterback for those teams because the team is built. You just need somebody who can run the offense and not make a bunch of mistakes. That's how I feel. And
Right.
Russ is doing that well. And even if Russ got hurt, I feel like Justin Fields could do it well too. But I think Russ does a little bit better.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I would agree too, and definitely more experience too.
Yes.
Especially it will come when time to play in the playoffs versus
Yes.
Justin Field, because I think he never really had that experience. So
Right.
they're
Exactly.
probably going to go with Russell Wilson in the playoffs.
Oh yeah, of course. He's doing his thing right now. Russ, I like Russ. He's cool. I mean, there's some times where he's a little corny, but Russ is a solid quarterback, and say he's the second black quarterback to win a Super Bowl after Doug. I remember that Super Bowl. That was a good time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a great time, which again goes back to Doug proving him wrong, Russ proving him wrong.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that happened with him in the Denver situation, I think, was a borderline disrespectful way. It looks like Sean Payton. You got to give a guy respect. You got two alphas, and let's give or take here. Both of them, good at what they do. I thought that should have worked out better, but at the end of the day, Peyton, it's his show, and he was in self-preservation mode, so he's not gonna let Russell cost him his job. So somebody had to go there. But I think what I love about even in the situation, where Russ is showing you is that even at his age, solid, good quarterback, and being playing from here down versus in his younger years, he's running all over the place. So I like that too, and I like the way quarterbacks are running now. Like I think for you to think that you can't run in today's NFL with the speed of these defensive linemen and these tackles, you're fooling yourself. You have to have a mobile quarterback, I think, in today's generation. Y'all can correct me on that if you like, but I can't see a pocket passing quarterback surviving long term because of the offensive line play has really been kind of shabby as a whole. Now, you have certain teams with elite lines, but as a whole, it seems tough to get an old line.
Yeah, you got to have a mobile quarterback in today's NFL, but there are some exceptions with Herbert is mobile, but he's not he's not running everywhere. But there are some exceptions. But at the end of the day, it's like you want a quarterback that can do it all, kind of, and that's why I'm so happy about we got Jaden Daniels, because people always compare him to Lamar or RG3, and that's cool. That's awesome. But one thing about Jaden Daniels, just take all three of those quarterbacks going into the NFL. Jaden Daniels is the best passer out of those three. I'll take Jaden Daniels' arm over Lamar. I'll take his arm over RG3. So his arm is amazing, and when you can do both, you're making for a future MVP.
Yeah, absolutely. I hate the comparison stuff because to me, I like to see a certain body of work before I just jump on it. I like to see the one thing that does stand out to me about Jaden is the way he plays in big spots, big moments.
Mm-hmm.
His poise. He's smiling a lot, laughing. He's very loose, and that I think is a trait that I have to give him. It's on the borderline of elite because a young quarterback usually gets very uncomfortable in situations like that, and he seems to be whatever. So that steps off the chart. Of course, his throwing ability is elite. Throw the ball so many different angles. He has great ball placement. He puts it right where it has to be. Of course, it doesn't hurt to have the type of receivers that he has, but he gets it to him, and that's a big part of it. So, but I usually give quarterbacks a 3-year window, and I kind of like, okay, like at first I thought Lamar was Michael Vick, but then I was like, well, no, Lamar throws the ball a little bit more than Michael Vick threw it. So you'll see it as it goes. How you feel. So, what's the score of the game tonight? What you got over there?
Score predictions?
Yeah.
Let me. Man, I mean, of course, I'm gonna take the Lions. I just don't see. I don't see the 49ers getting an upset or nothing like that. They're gonna play hard, but my original score prediction was 28-17. It might be a little bit lower scoring than that, possibly.
Okay.
Considering the fact that, like, okay, if the Lions start fast, get it over with, they could rest starters and just cruise right through. Because really, the big game is next week versus the Vikings. So I'm gonna take the Lions to win it, 31-19. 31-19. I'll take that.
All right, y'all heard it. 31-19. Sounds reasonable. Depending on the explosive. What you think, Zaire?
I think in a similar range because we know the Lions, their focus is next week, and they need to win this one because if they don't, then the Vikings can overtake them in the NFC North. So they need to win this one. So I think it'll probably mostly the Lions dominating, and I think they want to get to the point so where they'll be able to rest their starters into the fourth quarter or like towards the last half of the fourth quarter. So that's what I'm thinking they're trying to hope for. So I can definitely go in the 30 range. Like I'm not sure, like 30, 33 or something like that. And I think San Francisco can do enough. It might be like they might get above 7 points, definitely. So it'll be like 33-14, most likely in that range.
Sounds reasonable. What's your guys' take on the 49ers? I mean, we know that they had some financial decisions to make. They obviously decided to stick with what they had. I think they paid the guys that they needed to pay. Are they showing you, along with, I guess, teams like the Cowboys who paid their guys as well? I don't know. Did you guys see that coming after they secured the key pieces of that team? Did you guys think that the Cowboys and the 49ers would struggle like they did this year?
Personally, for me, I'm very confused, especially like with the 49ers. I definitely expect them to be on the sort of the same level as last year. Maybe a slight changes because I know some people are leaving, as you know, they getting poached by certain teams and getting offered more money. But I definitely expect them to be somewhat on the same path. The Cowboys, I mean, we kind of already know what they're about to do. It's usually the first round exit in the playoffs, so that's what I was expecting. But I was not expecting this fall off. I know the 49ers are slightly better than the Cowboys, but still it's a little bit confusing because I'm like, what is going on? Like I remember they were dominating all the way to the NFC Championship. What happened? So, and I know they also have like a lot of injuries too, which is a lot of factors.
Yeah. The running back core got crushed. Tyrus, is that something you think hurt? Not being able to run the ball, things like that.
Yeah. With the 49ers this season, I expected them to be the same old 49ers, the ball out. I expected them to win the division. I expected them to, be their usual self. But I think the injuries has been a big factor. And I'm not the biggest person who keeps up with 49ers football from, their games, but I have kept up with some of them, and talking to my guys who are really keeping up with that team and who are 49ers fans. A lot of their fans do not like Kyle Shanahan. They do not get down with Kyle Shanahan. Now, me on the outside, I always clown them. I always joke with them. I'm like, you guys are so spoiled. You have one down year with injuries, and now you want him fired. But they really do not like Kyle Shanahan, despite the fact that he's taken them to several Super Bowls, and they're done with him. And I mean, I've heard things in the past about Kyle Shanahan and his struggle. I mean, when he was with the Redskins, I heard some things. Also, reading a recent book about the history of the black quarterback, there was a piece in the book um, where Donovan McNabb talked about his experience with Kyle Shanahan and his pops, Coach Shanahan, Mike Shanahan. During that time with the Redskins, McNabb made it clear he did not mess with either one of them. He did not like the way that they ran things, and I don't know. Maybe Shanahan, maybe he is a problem, but they've proven they can be successful. I really think it's really just injuries. They'll be back next year. They'll be back.
Wow, that's very interesting. 49ers are spoiled. I mean, they're like most teams that have won multiple Super Bowls. It's either Super Bowl or bust for them. So
Exactly.
most teams would take a Kyle Shanahan just to have to be in the conversation. But I get it. When you're used to winning and, the legends, some of the best that ever did it have been a part of your organization, I can understand that. So my question to you guys out for the floor, and anybody could chime in out there in the YouTube land. Do you pay Brock Purdy? What do you do with him? Does he work the bang bang, or does we see that they've thrown a lot of money at that team? And
I mean, I'm gonna say in a fair world, when it comes to the quarterback, in a fair business market, no, you don't pay him the big bucks. But unfortunately, with this quarterback market, it's really a next man up thing. It's your next up, and this is the whole problem that we talked about, last year with the Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley situation, and I expressed how I felt like Saquon got paid, unfortunately, based off his position's market. Daniel Jones, the same way, he got paid based off his position's market rather than what he produced himself. And Brock Purdy's a solid quarterback. He's way better than anybody expected him to be, Mr. Irrelevant. He's come a long way, of course. But every quarterback doesn't need to be paid like a superstar. Yes, he was good enough to bring them to a Super Bowl, but just like I mentioned before with Russell Wilson and Jalen Hurts with the Eagles, the Pittsburgh Steelers and the Eagles, Brock Purdy's job is not a difficult job. He has a super team. He has dogs everywhere. Like you could put probably Marcus Mariota, Washington Commanders backup. You think he wouldn't do well with the 49ers? I'm not trying to discredit Brock Purdy. He's solid, but his job is not made overly difficult. When his team is healthy and they're clicking, his job isn't that hard. That's just how I feel.
No, I agree. Zaire, what you thinking over there?
I agree everything what Tyra said. They probably don't need to pay Brock Purdy a whole bunch of money. It's definitely a solid quarterback. I think for him, they need the 49ers to focus on making sure they have the best supporting players, or like wide receivers, offensive linemen, all that too, that can help him perform better in each game. So that's why we should be their main focus, is taking care of them. And I'm sure, I would hope Brock Purdy will be fine, if not, getting the superstar treatment or payment. If that's what you say.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. I mean, to be honest with you, and I think about what you both are saying, you just have a job to do, and you show up to work and you hand the ball off to some elite running backs, and then of course you have elite receiving. Tight end is elite, and so on and so forth. And the only thing I can think about is out of all the quarterbacks, if I'm going to pay somebody, his opportunity to show us if he can carry a team by himself. And we haven't seen that, right? Like, we know why Joe Burrow is paid, right? His team stinks. His line can't block. He lost Joe Mixon. And yet this mug is out there throwing and throwing and throwing and literally threw his team to 8-8 because I don't know how they did it. So when I see a guy like that, I'm like, yeah, give him the bag. Purdy, I agree. No, just you're a game manager, a little bit above a game manager. I'll give him maybe a step above a game manager because he can make some throws. But I don't see him carrying that team if they're down and out.
You know how I feel about Brock Purdy? Okay, I'm about to be a little disrespectful. Okay, I hope this don't hurt nobody's feelings. Okay,
we're live.
Brock, you said what?
Are we live?
We live.
No,
All right, y'all.
Feelings.
If there's any 49ers fans in this joint that's watching, don't get your feelings hurt. But I'm gonna keep it a buck. Brock Purdy is a rich man's Taylor Heineke. Brock Purdy is a rich man's Taylor Heineke. I had to say it twice so you heard me. This guy, he can play make at times. He can do those cool things, but he's nothing special. Brock Purdy is not a special superstar player. He's definitely, he's elevated himself from Mr. Relevant to what he is now. I would say the 49ers, they made a good investment on drafting him. He's done well, but he is not some MVP candidate. Remember that whole thing where people saying Brock Purdy for MVP, he should be in the race. Cut it out. Brock Purdy's not a top 10 quarterback. He's not an elite player. And I remember that whole MVP thing with Brock Purdy, and I was just clowning my 49ers friends. I was like, he's not even the most valuable player on his team, let alone the NFL. Like, what are we talking about?
Well, you do make a good point because I definitely agree. Christian McCaffrey was more valuable last year for the 49ers than Brock Purdy. And I guess if we're thinking he's on the system quarterback side, I guess we can say put anyone in his position and they may be able to do good. Now, there could be certain things that Brock Purdy does well, like being able to read certain defenses and knowing when to make key throws and things like that. We won't discredit him for that things. But again, he may not be someone you want there long term. But unfortunately for like the 49ers, they're like a little bit too good to, maybe to get like a worse or not say worse, but better off higher draft pick because they most of the time are too good. But that doesn't mean you can't strike out in like the later rounds too. So it is what it is.
Gotcha.
Yeah, no, I think you guys hit it on the head. I don't, like I said, it's not about being disrespectful as much as it's about being just true. I think we've seen enough of Brock to know kind of like what he's going to be. Now, again, like you guys said, those running backs, people are healthy. We may not even be having this conversation, or we still may, because I know we kind of do go a little deeper here with 4th and goal. So we do kind of talk a little bit more, but most people probably wouldn't have anything to say if they were in the playoffs. Unless, of course, like your 49er fans do not see Super Bowl, then, of course, they would be very upset about that. So I'm going to go along with that. And at that division it's wild. I was looking at the Rams and just the way everything's been going. I haven't recalled, I think you guys can correct me, I think it's like 15 teams that are under 500. That's kind of, I've never seen that before.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that like they're a back-to-back. They have about like 3 wins. There's a lot of them, like we saw with the Giants. I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I definitely know they had like the first pick or they were close to it. But then when they won, they got placed down on like the 4th pick. I'm like, just by winning that one game. So there's a lot of teams that are very close together. And then there's teams that you're like confused of why they're doing so bad. So I can remember I thought the Browns would be a little bit more solid this year like they were last year. Because I know a lot of them from them is mainly a lot. Their defense is a lot that's carrying them a lot. So I was just so confused. So it's a lot of teams you never expected them to be in the position that they are this year because they're a little bit slightly better, or you expected them to be on the improving side, and this would be their year to improve more. So it's a little bit confusing, you know.
No, I agree. Tyrus, what you think about that? I don't know. I haven't seen it.
There we go.
I think that this season, well, got my man Jalen in here. What's going on?
What's going
What's
on?
going
What's
on,
going
man?
on?
Nah,
Everybody's smiling on here but me. I guess it's the team I'm with. Anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
That shows how diehard
but
y'all organization is.
Salute.
Oh, fan base. The organization, I can't say the same thing. But I'm sorry. Continue. Go ahead, Darcy was talking.
Talking about these teams under 500, we noticed it's about 15 teams under 500, and even Zaire was pointing out how many teams only got 3 or 4 wins. I don't recall seeing a time like this. I guess Tyrus was going to figure out that he's seen it. I haven't.
yeah, this season it's a lot of bad teams. Like it's literally there's very few teams that are like mid this season. It feels like you're either terrible. Oh, my man Raleigh here. Add him to the stage. Raleigh, what's going on? So this season it feels like there's the elite teams, and then it feels like there's the teams that are bad. Like it doesn't feel like there's too much middle ground. I mean, you have the Falcons, they're kind of middle ground, but it's like you got the really good teams and you got the really bad teams. That's really how it is. I mean, the Cowboys, I mean, their record kind of puts them at like a middle tier team, but we saw what the Eagles did to them yesterday. So
yeah, we got absolutely torched defensively, offensively. It was an absolute horror show. It was really bad.
I forgot.
So, Raleigh, are you a Cowboy guy, fan over there?
Cowboys fan till I die, sir.
So we were trying to figure it out over there because we said, pay these teams, pay CD Lamb, pay Dak, pay. And we were saying that a lot of the teams that got paid, we're not seeing the production for the money that was spent. I know you can probably tell us more about that from your vantage point, being inside the scoop over there. What do you think it is?
Well, paying Dak in retrospect was a good idea. He's still not a bad quarterback. He's a top 10 quarterback when healthy, in my opinion. He is like 8, 9, or 10, but he's still a top 10 quarterback. Paying CD was the best decision we made in the past couple of years. CD Lamb has proved time and time again he is a game changer, healthy or unhealthy, game changer. He's dealing with that shoulder injury for the past like 5-6 weeks now. Still over 1,000 yards, still playing games. It doesn't matter. He's earned my respect. He has earned every cent of that money to me.
I agree. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, I can't argue that. I don't know. I mean, it looks like Tyrus's guys are benefiting a lot from the guys that you didn't pay. Look like they picked up a lot of your players and took them right down the block in the division.
Sure did.
Tyler did. Dante Fowler, our coach. I'm probably missing too. Yeah, have poster players and turn them into studs.
Yeah. So like you said, I just haven't. They blind. We were talking earlier before you joined on, and appreciate you coming out. But we were trying to figure out the 49ers, the Cowboys, a lot of teams that threw a lot of money in the air, and they just didn't get back the results that they thought.
Did we talk about the Falcons in that category at all?
Because of Kirk Cousins, huh?
Because not only did they pay Kirk Cousins all that money, but they also drafted a top 10 quarterback in Michael Penix at the same time, which at this point is like it's kind of looking like it's in their favor. But the problem was the fact that they spent so much money on a quarterback just to, just to have a quarterback like that sitting behind him. And, let's say like we didn't know Kirk Cousins was going to be benched. Like even before that, it was looked at as like a bad decision. Like kind of like what are they doing up there in the office? Because that pick could have been used for another position that they may have been lacking in. And with a team they're just like they could be a playoff. They're like kind of like a playoff team because it's like a lot of teams like Tyrus said are either good or bad. There's no in between, and they're one of the only ones that are like, so they don't really, they're just kind of there. Like I feel like if they use that pick on like something else, like that early, then I think that team may look a little different, whether or not they keep Kirk Cousins or just go for Michael Penix. I don't know, save their money, use their free. I feel like that was one of the teams they're just like ending up now paying a quarterback that looking like he doesn't even deserve the contract that they gave him.
I might be one of just the oddballs in this scenario, but I don't mind that the Falcons took Penix even at 8. I'm more weirded out that they paid Kurt all that money.
Right. I think that's crazy. Not to sit there like they could have spent that money on anything. Like they could have saved it for a player, like a mid-season trade or a free agency.
Raleigh, you still?
I think he dropped out. Yeah.
Raleigh disconnected. Yeah, he'll probably join back. But I'm with you though. I'm with you. Like that move, that decision to to decide to choose Michael Penix in the draft, it was a very risky decision. Like the fact that you pay Kirk Cousins a 4 years like super contract, and then you go and draft a quarterback, it was a stupid decision. It was stupid in my opinion. Now I'm not the business person that these people are. They know way more about business than me, and we're gonna see if this decision really pays off. Because hey, I could be wrong. I do think regardless of them drafting Penix, okay, we got that. But I think we can all come to the conclusion that paying Kirk that money was the wrong decision. It was. The fact that like they're gonna pretty much release Kirk after this season, that's crazy. It's crazy.
I think what they really did to themselves was put their own hands behind their backs and then put handcuffs on them, because now they just made it that much harder for them to make moves that honestly, if any other organization had an opportunity like that, like let's say they didn't sign Kirk Cousins all that money, they was conservative and they kept that like, especially during once the trade deadline was coming close, a lot of teams were scrambling because they knew it was do or die. You was either going to start tanking for your draft or you was going to get that piece to get you over the hump. And that's even my team, even the Ravens made a move, which is saying something, because sometimes they're in trade, they're just so sluggish. Like last year, we didn't make a move, but this year we ended up getting the Deontay Johnson, which did not work out at all, and we ended up cutting him in the long run. But we still made a move. So like for a team that's probably, to me, that's why they're in like that in between, because usually teams do make that move during before the trade deadline to up their team and push them into like a type of team where you're looking at like, dang, like they can really take that. Like they have a real chance to contend if they, stay healthy and they keep playing good football. The Falcons?
Good.
Well, let me just say this, because it's ironic that the whole Kirk Cousins career was really founded by the gentleman who's running the show here, Tyron Filson. It's his team that created the Kirk Cousins anomaly. When Kirk Cousins was the backup quarterback for the Washington Redskins, everybody looked and said, why they drafted a top-ranked quarterback behind RG3? Remember, Kirk Cousins, everybody thought should have had his own football program. What happens? The unthinkable happens. RG gets hurt, Kirk Cousins steps in, and the rest is history. The Redskins is like, oh, this guy's nothing but a backup. He outperforms his contract in the first year. Oh, he's nothing but a backup. We're not going to pay him. He outperforms his contract again. For the third year, they franchise tagged him, I think, 3 times. And finally, he outperformed the contract, and eventually they ended up letting him go. And to be brutally honest, outside of this particular season, Kirk Cousins has lived up to the billing of being above and beyond quarterback literally his entire career. And for the record, he is the 4th highest paid quarterback in the history of the NFL. In the history. This dude has made money because he situationally put himself in a position where he was needed. And the Atlanta Falcons could not gamble on Michael Penix and hope for the best because of the injury that he had in college. So they gambled on him because they felt Kirk Cousins could hold down the fort for a couple of years. And unfortunately, Cousins' injury was a little, worse than we thought. So I think he did a crazy job, but I wouldn't be surprised that Kirk Cousins got the contract he did. He's been getting that kind of money his entire career, which I couldn't understand it, but I have to tip my hat to this dude and say, I wish I figured out how to do that.
I think it goes back to what we were talking about earlier before Raleigh and Jalen came on. That whole quarterback market thing, like Kirk, I remember those years ago when we let him walk and I wanted us to bring him back. I was kind of upset about him. Like, Kirk was doing good. He's solid. But I think that since then I've matured in my football knowledge to say that Kirk Cousins was a solid quarterback, and he's still, he was solid, I guess. But Kirk Cousins is not no superstar. And it's just with the NFL now, even if as long as you're like slightly above average, these teams are going to pay you like you're the best thing since sliced bread. And to me, that's terrible. I hate it because it's like you're nothing special. Quite frankly, I mean, you're a great football player. You made it to the NFL, good. In the NFL, across the board, you're not special. You're not special. They should reserve the big time paydays for the top guys. In a few years, Jaden Daniels is going to get paid like a superstar because he is a superstar. Kirk Cousins, at no point in Kirk Cousins' career was he ever a superstar. Never.
85, Mike.
Well, would you say that the couple of years he was in Minnesota with Justin Jefferson, do you think
Not
that
a superstar.
you think it? So
you see, not to interrupt you, but I'm passionate about this. I got to get this out. Look at the Vikings right now. Kirk Cousins left. And they're just fine. They're better. They're fighting for the 1 seed. Kirk Cousins, clearly he wasn't that valuable because he got replaced with Sam Darnold, and they're about to get the 1 seed if the Lions lose tonight.
that
tells you
funny.
everything you need. I'm just
I agree. I think people who are like who love Kirk Cousins hate when I say this. When I say like his season, like don't get me wrong, like we was just talking about, Kirk Cousins is a solid quarterback. But I think Justin Jefferson made his job a whole lot easier in Minnesota. And even now, like if you look at him now, like the last couple of games, Justin Jefferson's been going off, and he's been doing the same thing. And not quarterbacks, but they're like, even not like other quarterbacks. A lot of quarterbacks, especially like consistently winning quarterbacks, have that one guy that makes their job easier. So not to knock down Kirk Cousins, but I do think Justin Jefferson was just that great of a receiver where he did make his job significantly easier. I mean, throwing it up on 3 people around him, coming down one hand in the Bills game. I'm like, I mean, that's like he's down there somewhere type. Like he's just making his job like He's like, man, I got my guy. That's my guy. If I'm running and I'm running out of hope, I'm just gonna throw it down there. He's down there somewhere. So every good team has that one guy that does that, whether he's a receiver or whoever.
Yeah. Well, I think I'm going to have to give credit to the organization as a whole. And to your point, Jalen, I do agree with having a guy like that. But the reason why I give an organization credit as a whole, from the offensive line, I think they have a hell of a head coach. I think he's incredible. His mind, his genius, and getting the best out of his team. Those guys block. The defense plays well. And the reason why I say that is because you guys can fact check me if I want. I think the Raiders got a guy, Brock Bowers. I think he caught over 100-something balls.
Star.
Over 1,000-something yards, and they freaking only got 4 wins. And we got Malik Neighbors, who's caught over 100 catches, 1,000 yards. I mean, he's putting up Justin Jefferson numbers, and we can't even win 5 football games. So it's not just Justin Jefferson, my friend. It's more to it than that.
No, it's not. I'm just saying for that was that goes into, like you said, the organization.
What CeeDee Lamb is doing in Dallas, and they haven't won 10 games. He's a phenomenal wide receiver. So it's not just that wide receiver.
People don't give credit to. I mean, all the shine is on Justin Jefferson, but people don't give credit to the Vikings defense. They have a solid defense, one of the top defenses in the NFL. And that's like what I was saying, when you have a team where your defense is elite, you have the coach and you have that one superstar, or even more, the quarterback's job becomes so much easier. The Vikings, the Steelers, the Eagles, like those are 3 teams where you could switch out the quarterback, the team will still be fine. That's how I feel.
On the Eagles. Definitely on the Eagles.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, we just seen that yesterday with the Eagles.
41
Kenny
points
Pickett.
Like, come on, man. Like
Kenny Pickett went crazy. I'm like this. I was like, wow, this dude literally put down a type of performance where if he's in free agency next year, you're gonna look back and be like, "No, what? Let's get this guy. Whether he's gonna be a starting quarterback or not, that guy's probably from that performance, at least until next year, he's gonna have himself a job." Like that was impressive. There's a couple guys like that where, like there's like to your point where like teams and that you can take the quarterback and just switch it out and then still win. Typically, like how my dad was just talking about the organization, that's the organization. The Eagles, for example, great organization. I gotta say their head office makes beautiful. Like they execute beautifully. When they see something that they like, they go and get it. And it may not always work, but they put it out there. Like when they went and got CJ Gardner-Johnson, right? And people were like, him? Like he's the most inconsistent DB safety I've ever. I would have gone and got him, and and they end up making plays. I mean, like they just find those guys. Like they're one of those teams where they always find them guys, and you're looking at them like they're on their team. Like when? How did they get these guys? Where did they get them from? And how did they get them to perform at the level they do? Like they're one of those teams that do that, and along many of them in the league. So props to the Eagles this year.
I don't know if Brock Purdy heard you, but 49ers up 7-0.
Oh yeah. Before
it all begins.
Before Raleigh and Jalen pulled up, I don't know if y'all was heard me, but yeah, I was talking about Brock Purdy and how I felt like he's overrated. I feel like his job is quite easy. And I was just blatant with it. I just, when I feel a certain way, I'm just telling like it is. I said it straight up. Brock Purdy is a rich man's Taylor Heineke. He's a playmaker. I'll give him that. And if you put him on the Commanders, we probably wouldn't win 5 games. That's just how I feel. Yeah. He's not a superstar, and he's gonna get paid like one, but he's not a special player. He's not.
Speaking of Brock Purdy. Can we talk about the 49ers?
Yeah, they're playing right now. The 49ers, it's been a disappointing season, but yeah.
Do y'all think? Honestly, I can't even say that because a lot of teams do that. But I think for the 49ers to have, the the personnel that they do, it's been a crazy drop off. It's been crazy watching them because like I remember a couple weeks ago, Debo was struggling. So they people are like, get him out of here. He can't catch. Um, CMC injury. Been out for most of the year. Brock Purdy, he's been out and playing consistent. One game he's doing great. One game he's not doing so well. And last but not least, for at least offensively, Brandon Ayuk in the beginning of year getting that injury after that major contract extension, and him being out for the season, and their team really has just been really unhealthy. It's crazy to see how they went from last year to being in the Super Bowl to this year just struggling to keep guys on the field. It's,
Yeah, I fully expected them to be the same old Niners this year. I didn't expect this.
nah, I see this coming. I thought they was going to come out with a little bit of vengeance after their Super Bowl loss. But it's just been slow start after setback with them. And yeah, I mean, they're playing right now, right?
Yeah, they're playing right now. The defense is balling out right now. Brock Purdy, he was driving them down the field. They're up 7-0 right now. And they just got a block kick. Oh, 7-6.
7-6 now. Yeah.
Wow.
They just got a block kick.
Wow.
But see, what does that prove? What does that prove? The defense making plays. You know how rare it is for me to watch the Commanders when we make plays. I mean, we got a pick yesterday, but it's a rookie quarterback. He's gonna make mistakes. But
yeah,
you know how rare it is to see other players step up on your team. With the 49ers, the Eagles, the Lions, those are the teams, and I'm getting to a point here. Those are the teams where it's like you got playmakers everywhere, and they can cover up your mistakes. The Eagles, Jalen Hurts, he can make mistakes. His team is still going to find a way to win. There was several weeks where they went on a whole win streak, and he didn't even throw for over 150 yards. Yeah. Where, the Lions, they won a game where didn't Jared Goff have 4 interceptions? 5?
5.
They still won the game. So with that being said, for everybody watching, get it through your heads. Jaden Daniels is the best quarterback in the NFC. He's the best quarterback in the NFC.
What? Wow, you just I'll take that's bold. Can I say my own team because I feel like they were left out?
Hold on, Zaire. Who's your team, sir? Because you've been quiet.
The one and only Baltimore Ravens.
Oh my God,
that's my guy right there.
Thank you. I see.
He's just smart.
Here, man. Let's get off this phone.
Nah. Y'all NFC guys can stay. Y'all can stay. Y'all got the whole conference right there, except for one team. You got the Giants, you got the Redskins, and you got the Cowboys right there. That's
the Eagles fans was too toxic for the invite. It was too toxic for the invite,
Nah, but how about them Ravens? Because I'm gonna let my fellow Raven talk about it.
I'm not gonna lie. In the beginning, the first 2 games, it was very rough. I kind of had a feeling the Chiefs. I wasn't not too concerned about, but the next game because they were going against the Raiders, and I was there in person, so it was so disheartening to watch that in person. The Ravens collapsing, and then I know there was talks about if the Ravens are going to win the next couple of games or are they going to go 0-5 and all this stuff, but they definitely proved us wrong after that. So especially after the Cowboys win, that's when they started to go on a little bit of a streak too. For us, we have a lot of games that it's time and time again we're losing because of stupid mistakes. Because I'm so happy I did not watch the Browns game because I know I would have been super mad. But because you're telling me that multiple defensive backs and defensive players had interceptions in their hands and they dropped it. And so that was so irritating to watch. And then like the Raiders game, that was dumb. It's just like a lot of different mistakes. Even like the Steelers game, that was so irritating because the Steelers literally won by field goals. And then we're thinking that even if Justin Tucker would have made one of those field goals, the Ravens most likely would have had a chance to win. So it's just a lot of different dumb mistakes. I'm glad now, especially since their bye week, they've gotten a lot better and they started to be a little bit more locked in. Even though some things are still a little iffy, like that defense sometimes scares me. Sometimes when I watch them play, and then I'm like, oh my god, they're about to let up a big play, or then, oh, pass interference, and like Brandon Stevens, like, oh, Brandon Stevens is just. Every time I'd be so scared every time he goes 1-on-1, and then I just have a feeling, and then he throws the flag. I'm like, oh my god, this is about to be pass interference. And I'm not sure what happened to him because it was a little bit more better last year. So it's a very shocking. But the Ravens are definitely it's kind of hit or miss. I don't know because of course I'm going to always support that my team's going to win the Super Bowl, of course. But it's just been a kind of a little.
I feel like with the rate. Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like at the beginning of the year and too close to the end of the season, we were still trying to figure stuff out. But at this point of the season, I feel like they figured it out. The whole year has just been a journey for everybody on that roster, personally and probably spiritually, trying to find what are they doing? Because honestly, we were beating ourselves in each game. Each game you watched, it was self-inflicted like issues, like the penalties. We lead the league at like penalties. That is crazy. And like we were beating up on ourselves and and like Lamar Jackson playing this type of MVP season, and the defense couldn't figure it out. We had to ship Eddie Jackson or release him, and we still kept Marcus Williams, but now we have this high played defensive player on the bench, just riding the bench.
Yeah.
And the backfield was a big concern. We couldn't guard nobody, and Brandon Stevens, for the love of God, oh my gosh, Brandon Stevens gets me so hot. Like I have never seen a corner get mossed so much. I'm like, he is. If you look up any receivers highlights against us, you're going to see him just getting mossed. That's literally what you're going to watch. And honestly, I felt like this last year because last year I thought I'm like, I'm not going to just bash him. Like he's a great tackling corner. Like if we need to tackle a receiver, he's great. But you don't want your corner to have to be tackling receivers. You want him to be keeping them from getting the ball in the first place. So he was one issue. Marcus Williams and Eddie Jackson couldn't figure it out back then. They couldn't even all the drop picks, the butterfingers, all that. And just for us to now finally figure out around the end of the year, and we're holding on strong. Hopefully figuring out. Hopefully we can we're doing great, iron out the rest of the defensive issues, and go on this run to hopefully contend for a Super Bowl. Because I feel like we're one of the teams with like we're one of the teams are considered like a Super Bowl contender, but we probably have the worst record out of all of them because of that early mistakes and start. So hopefully,
I feel like I was gonna say I feel like the Ravens playoff window. We're about to go to the playoffs, but I feel like the Ravens Super Bowl window. You're always gonna have a chance when you have Lamar Jackson, of course. It's Action Jackson. He's him. We get it. But last year, for Lamar Jackson to fumble that opportunity, your defense played their heart out against arguably the greatest quarterback of our generation. They were holding him down. Like the offense was not doing much. Chiefs offense was not doing much. Lamar absolutely. I love Lamar. He's one of my favorite quarterbacks. He fumbled his moment. There's no way, as good as that Ravens defense was last year in the AFC Championship game and throughout that season, that you don't find a way to get to that Super Bowl. Because I feel like you get there, I don't care who they would play, you win it. You win that game. And I feel like this year their defense isn't as good. And okay, you got Derrick Henry, but I mean, to be honest, your run game is going to be good regardless, with or without Derrick Henry. That's how I feel. What you really need to lock in on. No, Derrick Henry is a solid player. You know, earlier in the season, I had him in my MVP race for the mid season. But if we being honest, and me and Jalen have had these conversations, the Ravens made a mistake targeting Derrick Henry over Saquon Barkley. I would have chose Saquon over Derrick Henry 1,000 times out of 1,000 because Derrick Henry, the problem with Derrick Henry is he's an all-time great running back legend, sure. He can't do what Saquon Barkley can do. He can't affect the receiving game. You got to get Justice Hill in certain plays because all you can do with Derrick Henry is you just run up the gut. Run. You have to be a versatile player. Like, you know how in high school, college athletes, like now you got guys who don't even go by their position. They don't go by wide receiver. They don't go by DB. They go by athlete because they do it all. Saquon Barkley is a do-it-all football player. Derrick Henry sometimes can be one-dimensional. That's just how I feel.
It's crazy because I've been saying this I said this from last year, and that man in the Giants jersey can attest to this because I remember off season, I was like, around the trade deadline, I was like, there's two running backs that I wanted the most. I heard that we was targeting Derrick Henry, and I was okay with getting Derrick Henry because I know Derrick Henry he's him. He's gonna do what he's got to do. He's gonna do what he's gonna do. But there's two guys I wanted the most.
We're live, Mr. Graham. Let's tell the world who you really wanted.
I want to tell the world who I want. I wanted Josh Jacobs.
Henry was a better,
and I wanted Saquon Barkley. I was like, yo, like I want Saquon Barkley. Everybody was like, are you crazy? Like, you're getting Derrick Henry. What are you complaining for? And I'm like, I'm good, but like, you know, like Tyrus just said, a do-it-all running back will be nice. You know what I'm saying?
May I say something? And this is for you and Zaire, okay? Because here's how it works. The only reason why Derrick Henry probably will not go for 2,000 yards this year is because of your freaking head coach. My patience with him is getting so thin. This guy has fired everybody in the world except himself. He blamed the defense on Wink Martindale. It wasn't Wink's fault. He had a bunch of errors. Last year, they fell short, just like Tyrus said, and he got rid of some more coordinators or whatever. Next year, like Tyrus said, if you don't make it to the Super Bowl, he needs to fire himself. I'm sick and tired of him overthinking, not running the football when he should run the football, and trying to outthink things. And to Tyrus's point, last year in that playoff game, if you got 2 or 3 guys covering, what's his name, Zeke, or what's your receiver?
Zay
Flowers.
You got 2 or 3 guys on him in every possession. That means Odell, somebody else, it's got to be open. And I've been asking you for the videotape on that game forever, and I still haven't seen it yet. It's almost a year now. Show me some film on why no one else could get the ball. So I'm done. I know that's your guys' head coaches. Me and Ralik, we have a lot more problems than you guys. Okay, we should be on the phone crying our eyes out.
Malik need Jerry Jones to retire.
We should be crying. These guys are rich. The rich get richer. Their teams are winning. And here we are trying to figure out what we're going to do.
You know it's a bad year when you're being compared to the Giants.
I mean,
we got 2 guys who are the rich getting rich. But hey, me, I'm from poverty to rich, man. I done made my way up, dog. I'm on the come up, family.
I got to give you that. All right.
He's not wrong with that.
You know, I do feel for, you know, you and Ralik, and I used to feel for Tyrus, but, you know, he's all right now.
You ain't got to feel for me no more, brother.
You know, I just think I feel bad because y'all organizations just fail y'all in y'all face, and y'all just got to sit there and take it. Like I can't stop seeing the Saquon video. It keeps coming up, and And with the Cowboys, I don't know. Like y'all just be like I can't even. It's just so much wrong with that organization. It's hard to pinpoint exactly. It's just so many things.
Coaches, players.
Do you feel like it was a mistake? Because I feel like this sometimes, and I feel like the Cowboys could have reconsidered that decision.
To do what?
Do you feel like it was a mistake to pay Dak? Because I really feel like, okay, Dak, he's done good things with y'all. He's a solid quarterback. You know, aside from all the jokes, I give him his credit. He's a solid quarterback. And when he's really clicking like that, you know, we've seen him lead the league in touchdowns. We've seen him do all that. You know, he's great. He's a regular season merchant because when the playoffs come, he turns into pretty much you could have me as your quarterback. You know, I could do what he does in the playoffs. I mean, you know, that's what it turns into in the playoffs. So is he really worth paying? You know, you paid him what you did. I feel like you could have drafted a QB, you could have got a free agent, you could have traded him to like the Raiders or something. You get your picks, you get your assets, maybe start over.
Paying Dak was a mistake. I don't think so. I'm gonna say that because imagine we don't pay Dak this particular offseason, right? Let's say that happens, right? We trade Dak to, let's say, the Raiders or the Titans, that team with that magnitude, right? I do not think Dak Prescott commands a first-round pick. I don't. Jerry Jones is not a savvy trader as he used to be. I'm thinking we get a second, a third-round pick for Dak Prescott. I promise you we would have done that. And that first overall, it would be realistic too. And that first pick we had in the draft this particular year was a 24th pick. We took Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. Good pick, but But there's no quarterback in the late first round that we could have ever taken. Trading up for a pick in that draft class wouldn't have been a good idea either. We had Jane Daniels, he was second off the board. And you had Penix was 8th, and then McCarthy was like, what, 10th? There was no trading up we were going to be able to do in that particular draft class. So we were low-key kind of stuck like Chuck. It was either pay Dak Prescott or run the table with Cooper Rush. And I won't say he's the worst backup in the world because he's not. But Cooper Rush is not a starting caliber quarterback in the NFL. He's just not. He's a great backup for what he is, but he's not a starting quarterback in this league. So we were kind of stuck to pay Dak. Of course, we could have taken a route of being bad for a single year and draft a quarterback next year, but when have you known the Cowboys to ever be super bad? We're either in the middle of the pack, like we are right now, or we're in the playoffs. Either or. We're never like top 3, top 2 picks. That's not who we are. So we were stuck. Paying Dak was our only option. Now it could have been easier by paying him earlier. Less money to spend on him, more money to put in free agency. But we didn't do that. That's Jerry Jones being Jerry Jones. But hey, we had to pay Dak Prescott.
Yeah, I like what you said. That's one of my good buddies, Prince. We talk about this all the time, and he says that's the fatal mistake. Not paying guys early in the career so you can spread the thing out. And I don't know why Jerry waited. I don't know. Was he trying to pressure these guys into playing? And then again, you have like a lame duck coach, which he didn't extend him. So, you know, a lot of times when guys see the coach is not getting paid, they feel like, why should I listen to you? You might not even be here next year. You know what I'm saying? So the coach kind of loses a little power, you know. And then, of course, I don't understand the running. I mean, I know Pollard, you know, I don't know why they didn't bring him back. I mean, Dowdle's had a great year and all that, but I don't understand that. Now you got Micah Parsons. What do you think you guys are going to do there?
We will absolutely pay Micah Parsons money.
I'm about to say, I have a question. I was about to ask.
There is not a chance on earth that Micah Parsons does not get paid by the Dallas Cowboys.
Because, you know, the Ravens were we have an eye on him, so y'all don't want to be like the Giants were this year and trade him to us. And then
I want him immediately. I'm promise you are not going to get Michael Parsons on your team.
How much help does Lamar need? How much help?
Now we was just looking for an edge rusher at that deadline. That's all we was looking. We was looking for an edge rusher.
I have heard
we wasn't going to get Devontae Johnson.
I've heard about the Ravens.
I've heard about the Eagles. They're just delusional fans. Delusional. That's plain delusion at that point in time. But
I have another question.
Saquon Barkley's BFF. He was at his rehearsal and they're buddies. So you got to watch those Eagles, man. I don't trust them.
Yeah, I know the Eagles
We
are.
didn't pay Tyler Biotish, didn't pay Dante Fowler, didn't pay Tony Pollard because of Dak's contract and C's contract. So I don't. If there are sacrifices to be made to keep Micah here, we will make them.
These
Again.
quarterbacks, a lot of these quarterbacks need to really consider their reconstruction route. I know that Deshaun Watson, somebody in the lab was actually saying that they were saying Deshaun Watson reset the quarterback market and all that stuff. He really changed the game. I mean, it's been on that trajectory for a while though, but he just restructured his contract with the Browns. I don't know how much it's really going to change things. They paid him a boatload, but like a lot of these quarterbacks. And one, I get it. You gotta get your bread. You gotta take care of your family, all that. But you can't be so. You gotta understand, like, okay, you're getting paid this much, but the team still has to be built. The GM can do.
Right.
He has to do his job and build the team, and you gotta play your part.
Right. I have a question for the Cowboy fan. So that Bengal game. What was your reaction to that game?
Okay, at that point, we were what? I can't remember our record at that point in time, but at that point, I knew we were not going to the playoffs. So I was hoping we would lose the game. As a fan, I was hoping that. But then again, I'm a diehard Cowboys fan. As the game goes on, I can't help but root for my team. So getting back on towards the end, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. Why not? Let's just blow it all up. Let's go ahead and do it. And of course, bad teams make bad plays at bad moments. And that's exactly what we did. We had an absolute complete and utter blunder of a play by Omoruwaye. I forgot his first name. Amari Omoruwaye. And he just made a bad play, boneheaded move, lost the game. I was in shambles. Because I was like, you know what? Let's win. Didn't win. I'm like, okay, well, I got my hopes up for no reason. Heartbreak.
Yeah. Sorry to hear that. That was a really good game to watch, though.
It was entertaining, yeah. Jamar Chase is horse for defense.
The Bengals, like we were saying about those mid teams. I mean, the Bengals are considered a mid-tier team until they go above 500. But what's funny is my Super Bowl prediction, which is not looking too good right now. I had the Bengals versus the Green Bay Packers. Now the Packers.
Yeah, I remember you saying that, and I told you you were crazy. I was like, "What? Out of all the teams you're gonna like, those teams can go, but like
that prediction, I thought that was a good, bold prediction that has the potential to come true.
Yeah, it sticks out. But I'm like,
what is he thinking? But then I marinated on it. I said, you know what? Football is that type of situation.
Football is a little random.
They're not eliminated yet. They're still alive.
But just the Bengals. They need to.
The Bengals
they need to win.
Eliminated.
Yeah,
I think they need the Broncos to lose.
Yeah,
I think I think the Broncos play against the Chiefs. Correct me if I'm wrong.
They do.
The Bengals need the Bengals need the Dolphins and the Broncos to lose to make it into the playoffs.
And they need to win their last game.
And they also have to beat the Steelers too.
That's feasible.
Not a good chance.
So I would like to see, as a Raven fan, it's crazy for me to say, I would like to see them make it. You know, I mean, I don't. You know, it would be a very interesting playoff if they were to get in, because you know they're that team that can get away with the win against a lot of these good teams. So it'd be very interesting to see if they see them play in the playoffs if they make it.
You sure you want that?
Not really. Not really. I don't. As like a Raven fan, no. But as a football fan, you know, you gotta appreciate it if you as a football fan. But as a Raven fan, absolutely not. I hope they don't. I hope they lose in the Denver Broncos win. So like, I mean, that's you know. But as a Raven fan, but as a football fan, that's a matchup that is, you know, just appreciated out of the love of the game.
The only thing I need from the Bengals, I need them to beat the Steelers, and that's it. I don't care if they make the playoffs or not. I just need you to beat the Steelers so the Ravens can win and take the AFC. Right. We were so close. So that's what I personally want.
And we're right now we're sitting pretty at the top of our division.
Yeah.
So.
Because if we win, we're either going to play Pittsburgh or the Chargers. That's most likely what's going to happen. and it's going to be really annoyed if we end up playing the Steelers. I'm going to be very annoyed.
But it will be a home game for you
Yes.
guys.
I know. But
I think we're gonna just take all that frustration from like the last Browns game and just dump it into this one.
I think so too.
I have us winning by a landslide margin. And I could be wrong because the NFL is a very weird place. You never know who's gonna win.
It could be. It could start off kind of close because it's AFC North football, but then again, I hope the Browns don't try at all because they want to make sure they get a good draft pick. So I'm expecting the Ravens. What I want to happen is the Ravens to mostly dominate, but then they need to take Lamar out the game so he can sit mostly the fourth quarter or the later half of the fourth quarter, so he can be rest up for the next week.
Which we've been doing because especially when we blow out teams like that, we sit them. But yeah, that's cool. Another topic. Defensive player of the year. Who y'all got?
That's tight. Actually, early in the year, I was actually rooting for my guy Dexter Lawrence to get it, because with me being a former D lineman, I want to see a D lineman get that joint, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But TJ Watt, he's a dog. He's an edge. I want to see him, get that joint, or because for real, TJ Watt, he's really probably the best pass rusher in the NFL, and he's been that guy like for years now. So he'll probably get that joint. Also, I like Benito on the Broncos. He's underrated.
That's a good pick.
I think this year it's a little bit different. There is a good pass rusher, of course. TJ Watt, best in the league. You all know that. There are good pass rushers this year as well, but this year has not been quite as eye-opening or shocking as it comes to like sack numbers or rush numbers or whatnot. I think this is a cornerback year. I think that Pat Surtain II, Denver Broncos cornerback, will be the defensive player of the year.
Hey, don't overlook Xavier McKinney though. Xavier McKinney. I don't know if he still leads the league in interceptions, but he did at one point in the season. He's a dog too. Mm-hmm. Another star player the Giants let walk. Again.
Yes, shots fired. Get it in.
You can't. I'm sorry, but like, it's not. You can't help it when an organization just keeps making bad decisions like that, and it just comes back to look. It just looks bad. You can't help it. Like, I'm sorry. That was wrong, Tyrus. You didn't have to do him like that.
Well, let me just keep it crystal clear, and I think all of us can relate to this, and even the Redskins. The Commanders could relate to this because I looked at them like they were out of their minds last year. They let 3 top-tier defensive players walk.
Yeah, that did look kind of crazy for that.
Okay, they walked. All right, and so the world is thinking, what are they doing, right? And then you see the Buffalo Bills. They let a lot of top ball players just walk. All right, Cowboys, they didn't do that. 49ers, they didn't do that. And then you look at these 2 seasons. Commanders is knocking on the door for a year that they haven't had in decades. The Bills, you see what they're doing over there. And now you're saying they didn't pay their guys. Okay, so we have to give some of these general managers a little bit of credit in that, and Ralik is saying it about making way to pay the defensive tackle. I'm sorry, he's not a D tackle. Michael Parsons, the edge. You're kind of getting that feeling like we can't afford to lose this guy. And so what's the point of paying all these guys if your team can't even win 8 or 9 football games? It doesn't make any sense. If we're going to be bitter and we're going to be angry, at least let us be angry because we can say we don't have the talent versus having all these Pro Bowl players sitting on your roster and you only got 9 wins or 7 wins. It's unacceptable.
The GMs know. the GMs, like you said, the GMs know what they're doing. Sometimes they make bad decisions, but for the most part, they know what they're doing. And going back to last year when we traded Chase Young and Montez Sweat, and then in free agency we let Kendall Fuller, Cam Curl, those guys go. I wanted us to bring all those guys back. Now, but looking at it now, at least just for the Chase and Montez trades. we made the right decision because we would have had to pay them guys. And if you look at our roster now, we have pass rushers that are putting up the numbers. They're putting up better numbers right now, and we're not paying them a whole bunch of money. Like Dante Fowler Jr. is having a solid year, an underrated year, and Chase Young, Montez Sweat, they're still my guys, but like, I hate to say it, but they're not the cream of the crop. They're not doing what we thought they would be doing this season. So.
Yeah, I mean, all of us have teams we have to face that. Jalen attests to it. He hates to let guys leave the Ravens, but he was fussing me out last year. And he didn't want, was it Patrick Peterson?
Patrick Queen. Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick Queen. A lot of these guys walk, but you're right in the hunt again this year, and they're not even on the roster. So the general manager's job is very complicated. I hate to be them. I encourage all of you to play the PC version of Madden, where you have to actually be the general manager. Try that. Don't play the Xbox version. Like, play the general manager position.
I mean,
if I can keep who to cut,
If I can contest to that, with that Patrick Queen, situation, you're right. We're still winning without him, and I would not be saying this if it wasn't true, because honestly, my feelings for Patrick Queen have walked out the building since he's on the Steelers, and he wants to ride with that team. That's his team, and that's why he got smoked the other night. So and that's fine. But at the same time, I can admit that and any Raven fan that watches the game can admit that he did make our other guy, Roquan Smith, he made his job also easier. And in this year, that's one of the positions that I don't like, that don't really get talked about a lot on our defense, and because of all the secondary issues and all that. But I can say, like, the middle linebacker spot has been a little challenging for us. Like, we've been trying to figure it out. We've been swapping different guys and trying to figure it out. And that's one of the things that I've been watching. It's small, but it's noticeable. Like with some of the things that you missed tackles. The run game is a little bit more dangerous for other teams now, because now the middle linebacker is the cornerstone to coming up and making those tackles, plugging up them gaps, making them bounce to the outside to the other guys that are dropping down. Like they changed. It changes the game, and you notice it. And that was one of the things that I noticed when PQ left. But there are some guys where you can get away with letting go because just because some guys just if they can walk and you can still have a winning team. Like Tyler said, like there's some of his guys. I did look at the Commanders crazy letting them two go. I was like, you're gonna let Chase Young walk and Devontae Sweat what? And but some guys get away with it.
Sorry to interrupt, Ty, but I do have to go. But it was a pleasure being here. Thank you guys for having me. It was a fun show to be a part of. I appreciate it. You guys take care.
Appreciate you coming on, bro.
It's always another season.
All right. You guys have fun.
Talk to you, man.
You too.
Yeah. Before we wrap up, I mean, I was just going to say, I think that you're right, Jalen. I mean, there's certain players where you can have them walk and, it's whatever. But I do think I would disagree with you on Patrick Queen specifically. Patrick Queen, to me, makes your defense a whole lot better. You guys should have brought him back. You shouldn't have gave. I feel like
that's what I said.
And not only that, but I mean, here's the thing too, right? Patrick Queen makes your defense better. He's very valuable. You know what I'm saying? I feel like guys should have kept him. But then there's some times where us as fans, we fall in love with certain players that really just aren't that good. Like the way you fall in love with Odell Beckham. He's really just not that good anymore. But there's certain players that we fall in love with, and we're fans. You know what I'm saying? Hey, me, I can admit it. I've fallen in love with certain players who really aren't that good. I mean, I've been there, but now I'm trying to switch up. Hey, you see who my guys, Terry, Jaden, they're elite players.
Yeah, and I'm a ride on that, but I'm gonna also say that I'm a little older than the guys in this group, so I have to put my adult hat on. Saquon Barkley only was in one playoff game in 6 years as a New York Giant. One playoff game. And to have a running back of that caliber, and we've only been in one playoff game, how do you justify paying a guy that kind of money? And I really don't even justify paying Daniel Jones. To be honest with you, I wouldn't have paid neither one of them. If anybody, I would have just paid Barkley and just rolled the dice with a quarterback in the draft. That was what I would have done. But when you look at the general manager and he has to sit before the judge and he says, we haven't been in the playoffs in years, and we got this running back that's running all over the place, can't justify it. So that's our argument. Jalen, you guys, Zaire, you'll have a different conversation. Obviously, Tyrus and myself, because your team have a system that has been in place since the last 10, 12, 13, 14 years, and it's just plug and play, plug and play, plug and play. But I think your coach is running out of time. And I don't know. I don't want to put pressure on you guys, but I'm watching you guys this year with a magnifying glass. I see one little ridiculous hiccup in these playoff games by that coach of yours, and it may be time to move on. That's just me. That's my take. Now, I'm just a Giants fan.
Yeah.
I'm just a Giants fan.
I also have like sort of a similar belief. I just know that the Ravens, I think it would be kind of hard to let go. I mean, not saying you have to get rid of him, just put him in the front office or something. I don't know. But, sometimes things have, greatness cannot last forever. And sometimes all good things must come to an end. So, I mean, John, we're not going to say he was bad. He did very solid. And, I mean, he won a Super Bowl quickly. And they were in multiple AFC championships. And so, and I could say the teams weren't like, you could say they were not like bad. They had multiple years that they had a chance. They were in contention, and you being in the playoffs. Like the Ravens have been in the playoffs the 6 of the 7 years, past 7 years.
Yes.
So we can say he ain't do a bad job. It's very solid. Now I guess you could say the conversation would be is who can we use to replace him? I mean, I know last year everyone was asking for Mike McDonald to be in there, so I don't know. It's just a lot, and I mean, I think personally that some of the players also like John, so I don't know. But I'm definitely watching with a magnifying glass too this year too. So I can't countless of times I've seen John Harbaugh make stupid faces and be confused on what's going on, and then the messing up with like the challenging plays and then going for it on certain plays and not. So it's been a little bit heartbreaking. But then again, there's sometimes when there's a lot of good things happening. But of course, you could say some of that is with a lot of the certain players that we have, like Lamar Jackson. So I don't know. So I'm just gonna hope for the best, even though sometimes like this team just like makes me so angry. But I'm still gonna hope for the best.
And my whole point is just out of correction, because I know you guys haven't necessarily had the right pieces around Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of gave him a hybrid career. He started out his career looking a lot like Donovan McNabb, one horse pony show trick with his tight end. Then you finally started adding pieces. Now he's got Flowers. Now he's got Justin. I mean, he still's got who's the backup tight end? I think he should be
Isaiah Likely.
Yeah,
Likely should get the ball a lot more than he does.
Definitely agree.
Sean Bateman.
Right, and so that's what I mean, because I know in the years past you guys did not have the weapons on offense. Obviously, to Tyrus' point, I think Odell Beckham's better days were behind him, but I do think he should have been a very good possession receiver for you guys.
Definitely.
Similar to the way you see another one of our cast-offs, Sterling Shepard, is having a tremendous year for Baker Mayfield down here in Tampa. So my point is, now you guys have it. You got the running back. You got everything. So I think that's what we always are worried about. We want all these great players, but when you get them, now the leash gets really tight. Yeah. And then the pressure is really on you, because now you don't have those excuses.
Like this year, I'm hoping they better run the ball, because that was a lot missing last year. But now you have a good running back, so there's no reason to say, oh, we couldn't run this. But you have Derrick Henry, so run the ball. So I'm definitely expecting them to do that. And then like I don't want I know our defense is not on the same level as last year, but like if you're able to keep a team shut out for a certain quarter, I expect us to be winning or make a certain adjustment so that the offense can be a lot better going down the field too. So I don't know. That's a lot.
I agree. I think it's called the complementary football. You know, get a couple key stops, get a field goal, get a touchdown. Come on, you may not hold them the whole game, but stop them when you need to. And I agree with you 100%. Out of all of us in the room, I think the Commanders are obviously going to have more of a pass than you guys. This is, I think, and Tyrus can attest to this. They're playing with house money, right? No one had this anticipation. I was desperate for that quarterback that he's got, but I knew the Giants weren't going to get him. So I just put my head down and said, here we go, and he hasn't disappointed me. I knew he was good. And I knew the Commanders had good pieces, but they just didn't have anybody that could get them the football. Now they do. So, but
right.
I think,
Which is funny that you said, because I didn't notice, but I watched a video of Jaden Daniels walking into the Giants facility and meeting up with the coaches and saying how he wanted to be a Giant and all that. And somehow that was missed. I'm thinking that I didn't know that happened. If I knew that happened, I would have been like, yo, you like, do you not know what talent is if it slapped you in the face? Like, that is the definition. He walked. You had him in your building. Like, but you know what?
I mean, you still got to
it's
trade
okay
up.
because the Redskins they had that pick and they took advantage of it.
Any trade offers for him or Drake May, because we tried. Redskins Commanders told us to go kiss rocks. That's what they told us to do.
They said, but that's our guy.
Yeah.
But
and can you blame him? You look at what he's doing over there.
No, I can't. I think that was probably. I mean, I think Tyrus knows this, but definitely the came out as like one of the best picks in the draft. I was jokingly saying this earlier this week with I was saying that Jaden Daniels is last year's CJ Stroud, the second round pick in the draft coming out and going crazy, and they like props to them for that pick. And he's going to end up being a heck of a force in the league. But also,
got some news for you.
I think Tyrus let a fire under Brock Purdy. Tyrus, he heard you talking about him.
I mean, he's solid. I mean, he's solid.
He's solid.
Touchdown passes, and then he ran for a touchdown. Oh my gosh.
I was gonna say to Jalen, I'm like, the CJ Stroud comparison. I remember that at the beginning of the year, and it was talking about could Caleb do it? Could Jaden do it? Possibly have a CJ Stroud type season. Obviously, we see CJ Stroud was number 2 overall, first round pick, and then you take Jaden, number 2 overall, first round pick, having a similar season. But I think Jaden is having a better individual season, but if he gets a playoff win, it will really solidify himself as one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rookie quarterbacks in NFL history.
Because CJ Stroud got himself a playoff win.
He did.
So,
he did.
That he also did win the playoffs. So we'll see. But I gotta head out. But shout out to Zach Orr, our defensive coordinator. He's the first year. He turned his defense around last second. Nate Wiggins playing heck of defense, but we also went and got Trey Davis White, who Tyrus said was washed, but is playing better than Brandon Stevens, and that's all that matters, But yeah, I'm gonna head out. But it's been a pleasure being on the show. Thank you for bringing me on, Tyrus.
I appreciate you, man. And we're just gonna close it up right here. I want to say thank you guys for watching the live. Thank you guys for rocking with us. It's been a long live, hour-plus live stream talking about the NFL, what's going on with the season. So many topics, so many discussions. We're going to try to do a live soon again, with the playoffs right around the corner, big things ahead. But thank you guys for rocking with the live. Thank you for watching. And if you guys have any last words.
Thanks for having us. Eli Manning, baby, Hall of Fame class, baby. Give me something, guys.
Daryl Green.
Yeah, gotta give it to my man. Hey, enjoyed you guys a lot, man. Let's do it
Thank
again.
you. I
Sir.
agree.
Take care.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.